Welcome to episode 33 of Sex Talk with Iyanna The Model, your host. And today, we have Scott Burnhard with us. I'm very excited about this conversation because Scott and I have a blooming friendship, and we talk a lot about different things. And I think we briefly converse about this subject. So it'll be just really interesting to have this be a guided conversation with leading questions that I usually ask, everyone who I have present on the show. So thank you again for being a guest today. I guess briefly introduce yourself, what do you do, let people know who you are, and then we can get into questions.
Okay, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me on the show. If you didn't invite me, I wouldn't be here, so thank you very much. My name is Scott Burnhard, or Scott Bernard, what you want to call me. Professional health coach. I am a host, professional content creator, motivational speaker, and just a guy that's all around positive, positive things in this world. So that's what I do.
Period.
Yeah, exactly.
Love to see it.
Yes.
Positivity.
Yes, makes the world go round,
Yes, I believe so too.
Yes.
So, to get started with this question, I feel like it's a question, I feel like it is. It's a question that I ask all the guests on the show. I think that it kind of leads people into what the conversation is going to be. I always ask the same question because people's journeys are so different that the answers are always so different.
Yeah.
So, for you, Scott, what is your relationship to sex?
What is my relationship to sex? That's a really interesting question. I feel like before I got to the consciousness that I'm in right now, I felt like sex was just very casual. It was just very casual. It was just okay, we're having sex, all right, that's cool and everything like that. But then now the state that I'm in right now, because I'm talking about back when I was in my early 20s. Now I'm 31, and I've grown and I've matured so much, for the mental aspect. And it's now it's sex is powerful. It's very, very powerful because you have two energies coming together as one. So I became very conscious about who I interact with as far as sex. So before it was more casual, but now it's more of a conscious thing. Yeah.
What do you think were the influences that made it more casual, and when was the shift that made it more conscious?
That's a really good question. I feel like when it was more casual, it's I didn't really fully understand it because, to be quite honest, in this today's society, everything is almost sexualized. And you just become so numb to it. It's just everything is sexualized, especially when it comes to the music videos, when it comes to the media, when it comes to social media. You're just oh, sex. And before, it wasn't something that was really special to me. It was just okay, it's casual, But then when I start to get to a higher level of consciousness and learning about the energy, especially as a man, when you ejaculate your semen, that's energy, right? And then once I started to learn that concept, I was oh wow, this is definitely not just casual. You as a man, you out there just spending your energy over here, there, and everywhere, and you wonder why some guys are so unmotivated and tired all the time because you're just spending your energy everywhere. So for me, gaining a consciousness, I was oh wow, this is very special. This is a sacred ritual at this point, So that's when I really started to really take into consideration of how it's not just, it's casual, from my perspective. I know everybody has different thoughts and opinions, but this is just me. So yeah.
When do you think that shift happened? Was it a particular age that happened? Was it a pivotal moment in experience? Did you have sex with somebody and it completely changed? Was it a relationship that you had that showed you how things could not be casual, or showed you how enlightened you were in this interaction, engagement with sex that was with someone who you had more interconnectedness with because of their emotional bond or because of their like spiritual bond that you have with that person?
Yeah, you know, when I got out of my relationship in 2021, I did some soul searching. You know, I did some soul searching, and I really took some time to myself to just really heal myself. And throughout that journey of self-healing and self-improvement, self-betterment, I stumbled upon this thing called semen retention. And it has changed my life. Like, that was actually like the pivotal point of me understanding the energy that, you know, both parties have. But, you know, I'm talking from a male perspective, like that semen goes into the egg, creates a child. So when I started to understand that energy and that flow of energy, I said, wow, this is way beyond just you just going out there and having casual sex here, there, and everywhere. So that point in my life was very pivotal because it also brought me to a whole nother level of consciousness, spirituality, and really understanding the purpose of it. Absolutely. So like when that journey, you know, healing myself and improving myself and bettering myself and staying abstinent too, as in like I literally was just by myself, you know, and I didn't masturbate, I didn't watch any pornography. I was just there focusing on me and healing the internal side of me. So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Not that long ago, but still like very, like you said, very pivotal.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting too because like I too came out of a relationship in 2021 where I feel like there's different things that happened within that relationship that allowed me to get away from myself. And it's interesting too to like have sex with a partner that you're not on the same wavelength
frequency
with. Yeah, because there's like a level of what's the word, like obligation that kind of trumps pleasure or trumps like connectivity when it comes to you engaging. And I think that also strips away certain powers that should be present in your sex life, as well as like certain positivity and health that should be present in your sex life as well. So I can attest to like getting back to myself in that way. But I would say for me, like the shift, I don't know if there was a particular shift for me. I feel like I've always been pretty conscious about my body just because of the way that I was raised, which we've spoken about too. I was raised, you know, Rasa, I was raised vegetarian. So I feel like being conscious about what you put in your body makes you almost automatically conscious about how you feel in your body. So I've always been very conscious about how my body speaks to me and what things I'm doing because my body has wanted it, or what things I'm feeding my body because it is craving certain things. And I feel like those things have always been more natural and more positive than not, which is good. But I will say that there was a part of me that allowed that, I guess, feeding of pleasure to be just, a little bit more casual, but not meaningless, I would say. Like casual, but not meaningless, always feeding into things that I truly wanted for the most part. I think I can count on one hand, like the interactions I didn't really like sexually, that I shouldn't have had, but for the most part, throughout my lifetime and throughout like my sexual experiences have been like pretty positive. But I remember, I think coming back from living overseas and kind of like interacting with a whole lot of people and being like, this is a bit much. Maybe I should pull back and lean back and not let my body be with everybody. I think over time I've become back to being serious. But I think the journey between when I wasn't having sex to when I did have sex, I was very serious about who I would first have sex with. And it allowed me to just like be very, very picky, be very, very cautious, and not really do a whole lot with a whole lot of people. And a lot of people are just like, why are you like this? And I'm like, because I am. So I think like that seriousness kind of returned 2 years ago when I left my relationship and I was just like, now I gotta be married. And then I'm like, well, that's a little rigid. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe I should relax and really do things with someone who I just have so many connections with. We could be married, but I don't necessarily have to be in that space in order to share my body with them in this way, which allows more casualness to be in my mind, but still a seriousness in like the bond and the sharing. Yeah. So how are you now when it comes to interacting with certain people? Even though I know that you're more conscious, you're more serious. You've done the semen retention, you've done the abstinence, you've taken time for yourself. I've done the same thing. So now, what are those things that have to kind of be set in place for you to connect with someone and then share your body with someone?
Oh man, for me, what they call it, I'm a sapiosexual. I am a straight sapiosexual. Like, I've talked to plenty of women, very attractive women, but if there's not a high vibration of consciousness, or if there's not something that's beautiful within that mind, it's like it doesn't really gravitate. It doesn't really catch me, you know? Like, yeah, you could be, the baddest chick, you could be the, all of that, but it's just like, like, if you can't stimulate my mind, or if you can't just, at least be on that frequency that I'm on, because I'm a very conscious person, I just don't be talking about what's going on in the media and going on Shade Room. Like, I like to dig deep into certain topics, and hey, is the aliens exist? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, things like that, So it's just like, definitely has to be a mental stimulation for sure. I find myself definitely not, like I said before, it's not like casual. Like, some guys out there go like, hey, she's not that attractive, but I'm gonna get one out. I can't do that. Like, and I've been in a position where I've done that before, and I was just like, yo, honestly, I kind of regret it. I was just like, I could have been doing something better than this, And like those experiences just said, nah, I definitely cannot, engage with a woman that I'm not like attracted to, it's, from the physical and also the mental as well too. Third would be morals. I'm a morals guy. I'm definitely a morals guy, in the traditional sense. Like our parents are Jamaican, so we grew up very differently, So like I'm definitely a morals guy as well too. And I think those three right there. Like I don't think I can like engage with a woman who doesn't have those three. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important.
It is.
That's important.
It is, because like I said before, for me, sex is a ritual when two souls combine into one. Soul binding, And I realized certain things like when you go and put yourself with other people, right? You have sex with other people. Sometimes you can take on their trauma, and sometimes you can take on their emotional state and emotional being. Like you could just you have sex with a person, and all of a sudden you just, why do I feel like this way? Like, why do I feel so down? Why do I feel not energized? You're like, yeah, that sexual transmutation between the male or female or whoever your partners are, that happens. So I'm very conscious about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that post 2021 was when I became conscious about that. I think I've always been pretty picky, but I don't know if the consciousness of like what people carry really
affected you.
Not really affected me, but was really something in my mind that I was conscious of. Like, I always knew that I didn't want to have sex with him because I'm not really feeling him. But do I not want to have sex with him because he has bad luck? You know what I'm saying? Like, because, no, that's so real. Like, it was crazy. Like,
you know what I'm saying?
Hello? Some people do. You know what? Some people do. And I feel like you just get onto that.
Black cat.
Come on now.
Walk under the ladder.
Not even black cat. You know I know black cats. Like, I think black cats is good luck. Yeah. But you seem like a shattered mirror.
Yeah.
Like you done had a car accident 2 months in a row. You know what I'm saying? Shit that's like, okay. Man, like there's a lot of things that could happen, but why is this all happening to you?
Right.
I think that the first time I was conscious about that was in 2019. because that was my first time interacting with a partner at the time, a man who really opened my mind. We were not even penetrative. We did not even have penetrative sex, but he was the first person to open my mind to like the consciousness of sex on another level, different from other people. Even though I shared my body with other people and I didn't share my body with him in the same way, which was very interesting to me because I remember us like just kind of, I don't know, touching each other's souls and feeling each other's energy and being really like synergetic. And he was like, you know, this is sex. Like, this is a sacred energy exchange. Like, this is something that we're sharing, even though this is probably not what you had in mind when you think about sex. And I was like, oh my God, my mind. Being blown. And then with him, he was going through everything. Like, he had gone through a terrible breakup. He was still not over his ex. He didn't really have, like, that many places to stay at the time. Like, he didn't really have a job. There was like some illegal stuff going on, and he was like, I refuse to have sex with you because all the things that you're doing now that's progressive in your life, it will be transferred to me if we have sex. And I was like, wow. Okay. Come on, consciousness.
Salute that
black
brother,
man.
okay. Salute that brother right there.
Yeah, no, he was.
That's
was.
real.
I think it was like, and then because it made so much sense to me, I was like, that sounds about right. I ain't even mad at you. Sounds about right. And there's a lot of tension too. And I also feel like there's nothing wrong with having tension. And sometimes tension is the whole relationship. You know? Because I think a lot of people, sometimes they feel like there might be some energy that's like a little, that's like shifting between two people. And something has to happen with that energy. But sometimes I feel like the shift between two people is the energy in and of itself. And I think with him and I think I really solidified that in my mind because there was so much tension that we did exchange different things, but we never had like forms of sex where we were touching each other's bodies. So it allowed me to really build and grow with him in a very energetic way because of that. And I feel like that put the consciousness of like what people have versus what I will now absorb in my mind for the first time. And that was like a good 5 years ago. And that was just like a very conscious thing for me too, I would say. How are we? Questions? Comments? Concerns? If not, it's okay. We keep going. So with your profession, you do coaching, but you do a lot of like working out and calisthenics for yourself and all the things that have to do with like your body, making sure that your body is up to your own goals, making sure that you're fit, making sure you're healthy, agile. Absolutely. Do you think about the sexual energy that has to combine with what you do professionally in that way? And if you do, how do you describe transmuting that energy with like you being active?
Wow, that's a really good question. So with me, the lifestyle that I live, holistic guy, vegan for 7 years now, about to be 8 next year, and I'm very, very, conscious of the things that I put in my body, because in actual fact, the things that you put in your body will determine your sexual energy as well too, your sexual performance as well too. So very conscious about those things. And when I'm dealing with a partner, or I'm dealing with a woman, in that current time, I would like her to be also, conscious of those things as well too, because I feel like it actually enhanced the experience as well, because it's like I got all this energy and you getting tired by like, you get tired by like 5 minutes. So I'm like, wait, what's going on here? And then you do the dead fish. And
I'm just like, God.
You know what I'm saying? So, absolutely, I would definitely would enjoy it even more if a woman is also, so conscious about those things as well too. So, I live an active lifestyle and sex is active. It is. One time I was dealing with this young lady and she had her Apple Watch on. She's like, oh, I burned such and such calories. So I was like, oh, okay. And one time, I felt like I was doing 1,000 crunches. I was like, oh, shit, okay. But yeah, that's definitely something that's very important to me, for sure. Yeah.
So how do you feel like you use sexual energy in what you do specifically? Or do you think that you have outlets for your sexual energy, so it's not necessarily like involved in what you do?
That's a great question. Like I said before, sexual transmutation. So I will take my sexual energy or that tension and I'll put it into something else. I'll put it into my workout, I'll put it into my business, I'll put it into my shooting, my content, I'll put it into whatever it is at the time. Especially when I was like abstinent, I was not having sex. Of course you're gonna have like that energy and that buildup, but I didn't masturbate. I don't watch any pornography whatsoever. So I said, all right, when I learned that sexual transmutation is one of the most pivotal, powerful things in the world. And that has allowed me to not have just casual sex here, there, and everywhere. I can just transmute my energy into something that's way more productive. So yeah. Yep.
Do you think heavily on the difference between sensuality and sexuality? And if so, how would you like describe the difference between the two?
I think sensual is more like a connectivity between the two parties. Like whether you are having dialogue in some kind of way, it's very sensual. The way you touch someone, it can be very sensual. The way you connect with someone, whether it is like through different activities, but it doesn't have to be what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't have to be like penetration or anything like that. It's just very sensual. It's like a safe space. Like you're creating a safe space. It's very sensual, and sexual is the act of like having sex. Like the penetration, the oral, whatever it is, you're into. I think that's my definition of it right there.
Do you consider yourself a very sensual person? And if so, like, in what ways do you practice sensuality?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm definitely am. I don't like to rush things. You know what I'm saying? So sensual is like, you kind of like this, like, how do I say? I want to say you like discover the body, but like you kind of like you just go through the body, discover the body. You want to touch it in certain places. You want to interact with her in a certain way to make her feel much more comfortable. Like, oh wow, he's doing this, he's doing that. Also, I used to write poetry, so I'm like a wordsmith as well too. So the words can definitely impact the overall experience. That sensual experience. So yeah, I would consider myself very sensual, for sure. Yeah.
Do you think that you put sensuality in your work, or do you specifically put it in your interaction with people that you're interested in, whenever you're connecting with them to be physical or to be sexual with them?
Definitely people that I'm attracted to, women I'm attracted to. I will put that sensual energy in there because I'm like, I'm attracted to you. I like your vibe. I like your energy. I'm like, okay, let's explore this. Let's explore this on a whole nother level. So, yeah.
Interesting. So I know you're an Aries.
Yes, I am.
Fire sign of Aries.
Yeah.
We're both Aries moon. Alex is in the background. And we're both Pisces, so you're surrounded. Okay, you're surrounded by water right now. Do you think you've ever had any misconceptions or myths connected specifically to your sign when it came to sex? Like, do people hear who you are and be like, oh, I heard about Aries? Or has that never really been a thing?
That's been a thing.
Oh, really? What have you heard?
I usually hear personalities of the Aries. Personalities of the Aries, and sometimes I hear the Aries sign is very sexually active. That's why I hear as well too, and I'm like, oh, okay. I'm learning as I go, so I'm like, okay.
Do you feel like it's accurate, or do you feel like it's inaccurate? The things that you've heard.
The things that I've heard. Sometimes I hear things I'm like, okay, I can relate to that. And sometimes I hear things I'm like, okay, I can relate to that. I would say, yeah, I'm definitely sexually active. for sure. But the sexual discipline comes into play. Like, I can be sexually active, but there's a discipline in me that I won't allow myself to just go here, there, and everywhere. You know? Even if I do have the feeling, okay, like, I want sex, I'll discipline myself. I'm just like, all right, I'll transmit this energy to someone else until, you know, that time come and, you know, it's the right time. I'm like, all right, you know, let's get it popping. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I thoroughly feel like every man should have a point in his life where he practices sexual discipline as well too. It's only just gonna make you better. It's only gonna help improve you, rather than just constantly thinking about sex. Because I honestly, for me, like, if I just kept on having sex all the time, like, I don't think I would, like, thoroughly enjoy it like I enjoy it now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm constantly having sex, and it's just like, oh, here we go again. All right, it's the same thing. Like, it has to be some kind of build-up or reward for it. You know? So that's just my perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it just goes back to how you were introduced to sex and why it was so casual for you in the beginning. If you see a whole lot of things and you are surrounded by a whole lot of things, then you can become numb to a lot of things, especially if you're doing a lot of that thing. So I feel like that's just what it would break down to. Like, it would break down to you just feeling numb about an action that you did last Thursday, that you did, 2 weeks ago, that you did a month ago, that you're going to do tomorrow with, like, different people who you're not really that connected with. And I remember having a conversation. It was actually my first live sex talk earlier this spring during a sensual series that I did in Massachusetts. And I was speaking to one of the guests. Her name was Daphne Dumore. Her name is, she's still alive. Her name is Daphne Dumore. And we were having a conversation about, like, how awkward it can be to talk about sex. And my point when I was speaking to her was, like, it could be kind of awkward, I guess, but really it's like you're always having a conversation. So really talking about sex shouldn't be weird, number one. Number two, a lot of people are engaging with people that they don't really like. So it then becomes even more weird when you have to have a conversation with someone that you already don't like about something that is so vulnerable and so sacred to begin with. Because to really express yourself and to get on the same level playing field of people that you're talking to, it really shouldn't be that difficult to do. Like, it's all about being with someone that you're already interested in and then being with someone that you're already comfortable around. So those conversations should be further, vulnerable, open, and comfortable for you, know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. So how will you describe your sensual experience? Not sexual, but sensual. Like, how would you describe it?
I feel like I'm a very sensual person. I feel like I've always been very sensual. I think that a lot of my discovery of my sexuality was through sensuality. I think that I have always needed time to feel, and I like to feel things. Like, I always
massage with the hot wax and everything like that, with the candles.
That, yes. Some of that. But, like, for example, like, I have a short, I don't know if I ever sent you my short film, I need to, but I have a short film about my sexuality. It's called Sacred Energy Exchange, a personal story about polyandry, kink, and masturbation. And in the film, I talk about, like, the first times I, like, discovered kink, for example. And it was through this whole, like, biting war I had with this one guy that I was talking to in high school. And even though that can be seen as, like, maybe something rough, it's still a sensual experience. There was sexual tension between that exchange, but there was no sexual action between that exchange. So it landed in sensuality, and it was all about the sense of touch and the sense of feel. So for me, I feel like a lot of things that I discovered about myself when it came to things that I like that would allow me to thoroughly enjoy a sexual experience was a sensual one. I always say I like to be touched as I do. Like, I enjoy, if I'm connected with a person, I enjoy being touched by them. I enjoy having, like, extensive periods of being touched. I enjoy being touched all over my body. And it doesn't even have to connect to genitalia or, like, you know, ideas of what people think about when they think about like what will turn you on. You know, it can just literally be like the back of the leg or the shin, and I'm like, oh Lord, you know, it's because my body having stimulation in a sensual way is something that like heavily arouses me and like gets my entire body to like climax, like peaks. And I always speak to as well, like how a lot of people don't usually have those experiences. And I want to eventually become a somatic sexologist as someone who studies the science of sex and also study the science of sex rooted in the body specifically. Right. And I want to specialize in sensation play and sensation healing because I feel like a lot of people, they don't feel sensations on their body. I think a lot of people usually feel sensations on the parts that people think about that should receive sensation when engaging in sex. Like people are always touching the breast or the butt or the vulva or the vagina, but I don't know if people are touching the top of the foot, you know, or like the back, you know, like the backbone or the clavicle. Like there's just different things that are going to allow you to feel. And if you don't understand that your entire body is an orgasmic zone, then you don't really truly, I don't think you really truly tapped into all the potential that you have to feel the best or to have like the highest senses of arousal when you are having sex. I feel like there's so much missing. Yeah. So I think that like my sensual journey has grown over time. I feel like there's different things that have happened that have allowed me to get into the space where I'm understanding how sensual I am. And I think that I have really exclusively created an experience of me practicing sensuality specifically with people I engage with who want to be sexual with me, just because that's the only way for me that I'm going to truly enjoy an experience. Yeah.
You know, and I want to continue off, like, you know, touching the body. It's very important. It's very important. I say for me specifically, you know, I work out. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to sound vain or anything like that, but yeah, girl, touch my back. You know, I was doing these pull-ups for you. You know, touch the shoulders. You know, I'm in shoulder pressing. You know what I'm saying? The forearm, everything. Yeah. You know, so that's definitely very important, you know, of the sensual experience. You know, and creating that safe space and creating that comfort zone for someone. Because I don't think anybody want to have uncomfortable sex. Like, nobody want to be engaging with anybody they're not comfortable with. Like, it's awkward. Yeah. You know, you start getting into the groove of things. You think about, like, man, what I'm going to do when I get home? Probably make a sandwich or something. You know, like, instead of just being in the now, you want them to be in the present, the now. So creating that sensual experience will allow them to just free up and
yeah. I think that's very, very important, and I'm glad that you mentioned that. Like, being sensual, because I feel like, you know, there's so many people who are still discovering that for themselves, but being sensual takes you out of your mind and into your body. And I feel like that needs to be highlighted. Like, it creates a space for you to be grounded physically in a way where nothing else really gets you there. And in order for you to then feel all of the physicality of you and somebody else, like, you should be fully in your body. You cannot be fully in your body if you are even partially in your mind. So I think that, like, taking...
That's a word.
Okay.
That's a word.
It was recorded. I think that, like, putting that as something that is highlighted is, like, extremely important.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Another question.
Yes, ma'am. I'm here.
Do you have any sexual fears? And if so, what are they?
Wow, sexual fears? Getting a woman pregnant. That's a sexual fear. You know, that, like, you know what I mean? Like, we're not doing it to conceive a child, and then it happens. That's a fear.
Oh, wow.
That is a fear. But, you know, and then, you know, I'm a man, you know, so, like, if that responsibility happens, I step up to the plate, of course. But that is definitely a fear.
Interesting.
You know, that's a fear, you know, kind of rape or something like that. It's like, oh, slip up. That's It's another fear. I think that's it. I don't think I have any other fear. Yeah. Oh, what, STDs? Like, they're out there, people. And this is why I don't be going out there just, casually. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, do what you do, stay safe. But, sometimes those things go back in my mind. Like, I remember, God, I can't remember about to tell the story. I was like 12 or 13. Mm-hmm. My Jamaican mother, she come out with the book of sexually transmitted diseases. And she said, all right, so if you do this, then you're gonna get this. You do this, you're gonna get that. And I was kind of scared of having sex for a minute, because I was like, I don't want my kids to fall off. Oh my God. But the first time I had sex was in college. So I ain't doing the high school stuff. I did college.
Yeah, same.
And I was like, checked the other day. I was like, shit, fella. My people all off. I was like, oh, okay, no, we good. But just educate yourself throughout. It's a life journey. Because like I said before, sex creates life. Mm-hmm. Between a male and female. But I think those are my two fears. Yeah.
Valid.
Yeah, valid, right? Yeah, that's very valid.
Very valid. And I don't think I hear too many men speak about that as an actual fear, too. And I think that there's a lot of, it takes two to tango. So of course, the responsibility and the heaviness of what that responsibility is on two people. But I do, often hear about a man who wants a whole lot of babies or who wants a whole lot of children or who's slinging his semen here and there. So it's refreshing to hear how that could be a fear, because I think that more people should be afraid of that. And I feel like if more people were afraid of that, because it takes two people, if one person takes more of the responsibility, and specifically thinking about a man and a heterosexual connection, then more of it would be controlled. Yeah. Because for a lot of contraceptives, much of it is on the women. But if men either had more contraceptives or really took pride in making sure that the contraceptive that they have was something that they actively use at all times, it was very rigid and very disciplined, going back to the word that you used earlier about it, there would be a lot less pregnancies.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's why I said the sexual discipline, that's what comes into play, man. My mind is this discipline in anything in life will always keep you grounded. Anything in life, And I've developed a level of self-discipline that I can choose not to engage or whatever the case may be, or I won't allow anything to control me, because anything that controls you becomes your master. So I won't allow sex to be my master. Some people are controlled, aspect of sex, and it's where's the fun in that? Where's the fun in that? So I refuse. Nah, I'm good. Yeah, those are my two fears. Yeah. Question. Have you ever heard about Kegels?
Of course.
You had any Kegels?
Do you do Kegels? I don't usually do Kegels, to be honest. Okay. But for those who don't know, Kegels is a active workout of the pelvic floor within a woman that allows her to contract muscles, and then it builds not only strength and control, even when it comes to releasing pee, for example, or even having a baby or anything like that. Kegels can help so much, because it's the same way as if you're lifting weights every single day, in the gym, but you're doing it for your pelvic floor muscles. Yeah. And it does really help in sex, because then you can control contractions around the penis if you are someone who receives penetration, and it could really, enhance the sexual feeling that your partner can have if they do have the penis, and kind of spice things up a little bit. So for me, I would say that I've always been when I first heard about Kegels, I'm like, I'm intrigued, but I've literally never done anything to help me do more Kegels.
Yeah.
I do know that there's different things that you can use. Like, for example, there are something called the yoni eggs, which are, is it the yoni eggs? Yes, the yoni eggs, that allow you to hold a weighted substance of some sort. Usually it's made out of some type of crystal or some type of like mineral based material, but it's weighted and they come in different sizes, and you can like start off small and like hold it in, and like that can help you practice strengthening your Kegel game.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not a girly of the Kegels, but I do know what they are.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's also male Kegels as well too. Like there's a male version as well too. I practice. Yeah. I practice Kegels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about the male version of the Kegels.
So pretty much like going back to the semen retention, because I've learned, like, you know, I was deep diving, and it was like an ancient practice. Like as soon as you're about to like ejaculate, just hold it. Just hold it for like about 2 to 3 minutes or whatever the case may be, and then that energy goes right back into the body, and it kind of like supercharges you in a way. I practiced it, and I was like, oh wow, this works. So it kind of it supercharges you, and then when you get the second erection, it will be way more longer than the first one. You know, so I've practiced Kegels. You know, for me, I like to. I'm a scientist when it comes to my body. Like, I'll try different things. Like, you know, one time I was working in GNC, and I was like, oh, let me try this pre-workout before, because I never tried pre-workout, you know, before. And I tried it, and I was like, oh, I can't go to sleep. You know, I'm up like 48 hours. I was like, okay, I can't do this, you know. So I will try it, and I'm like, okay, if it works, it works. If it don't, then I discard. Yeah, but I've tried some things.
So you are, I guess, connecting semen retention to like the male version of a Kegel, or is it something different than semen retention?
It is most likely comparative between the both. Okay. Because the semen retention, when you retain something, it goes back. You know, retention. And the Kegels, you are practicing that flow in your body, so you do not, you know, ejaculate just quickly like that. Instead, you can kind of like control those contractions when it comes to the penis, and you know you're about to ejaculate. So it's something that I've tried, and I was like, see the results. Yeah.
Okay, well, male Kegels, everybody.
Yeah, male Kegels. Yeah. Like even like when you're about to like you know, pee, just hold it and then go. Yeah.
Have you guys used any like verbalization before you are like climaxing, and then like playing with each other's energy and mental stimulation with words, and try to control each other's
like how? Give me an example.
like before somebody's about to like ejaculate, then you say something like really stimulating, or something like, I don't know, like mentally stimulating, and then you try to like keep them prolonged, or like like do you guys like play with words in that kind of space?
I
Ladies first.
have not.
Oh really?
I have not played with words in that space, and I feel like this is also like kind of dabbling in sex magic in a way, because for me, for people who don't know what sex magic is, the way that I describe it is like introducing like intention and the idea to produce something outside of sex with the energy of sex. So I have become privy to sex magic around the same time that I was privy to like, you know, sacred energy exchange and like really connecting with people and understanding that you really take on people's energy and all the things that are happening in their lives whenever you interact with them in this sexual way. And I became also privy to speaking certain things out loud that you want to come into fruition, for example. And then when you two are orgasming, or when you two have reached climax, if you two scream out the same thing, or if you guys have a conversation beforehand, or if you guys like, I don't know, written down certain things, and then you think about the things that you've written down, and you say, okay, go to your like, manifestation list right now. Like, think about something as you climb, things like that. I have thoughts of certain things that have not escaped my lips and come out into the ether, and so I would say that I haven't practiced anything word oriented, but I have like put my mind in a space where like I'm having sex with someone and I'm just like, this person is beautiful, like I wish all good things for this person, like I hope that like good things come to this person, like when they reach ejaculation. I hope that like those are things that happen in my mind in order for me to kind of transmute the energy that I'm thinking into what is now being physically realized. But I haven't done any like wordplay situations, which sounds interesting. What about you?
Like I said, I'm a wordsmith,
Oh,
so I used to write poetry back in the day.
There's that.
The words, I'm telling you, use your words, fellas. Use your words, and just be very conscious of the words that you use. But it enhances the experience, especially when it's about to be climax. It enhances the experience for sure. So, words is very powerful. Words are very, very powerful. Like you just, compliment her body in that moment in time, or just compliment her personality in that moment in time. She's just gonna like, wow, like, So yeah.
I will say too, I don't like to talk. Like, I don't. Like, I think I become more primal during sex than I do intellectual. So I feel like when it comes to a space, and not to say that it's like full intellect when you speak, you don't gotta be like, oh your mind when you think about words to say during sex. But I will say that because I'm someone who rather makes sounds than words, I enjoy being spoken to. So I have like, I have had instances where people have spoken to me, and I love it. I love being spoken to. Like, it's great. But I don't want you to expect words back from me. Or actually getting into like, good segue, getting into kink and stuff like that. For you to like make me respond because it's so out of something that I naturally do in that space is definitely kind of like dominant for me as like someone as a bottom or someone as a sub, like being made to speak. I think it kind of goes into that space. So speaking of kink, do you have any? And if so, are you open to letting us know what they are?
Trying to think. Kinks.
And sometimes I feel like some people think about kink and they're just like, oh, well, I don't really like whips and chains, but kinks can be something as simple as like you like biting, you like spanking, you like choking, like all those things are like kinky as well.
You just named them.
And what else on top of that, if you have any?
I think not recently, but I think I like BDSM.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. What aspects of BDSM?
I think.
And do you know like a lot like about it? Have you like done research on it? Do you
like I've done some research on it. Probably have to do a little bit more.
Let me just clarify for people who don't know. So BDSM is an acronym and it's connected to like kink and fetish. So you can think of BDSM as like bondage, dominance, sadism, masochism, for example. Or just different aspects of kink and fetish that can be rooted in that acronym. So bondage is like being tied up, and or being like restrained in some way. Dominance is someone who usually takes control or shows a type of power over someone who's either the bottom, which is just the positioning of two people, or is someone who is a sub. So the S can stand for sub or submissive. It can stand for sadism.
Yeah.
Submissive is someone who is, of course, receiving a lot of the control and following the lead of the person who is dominant or the person who is guiding them. Sadism is the description of someone who likes to inflict pain. And masochist is someone who likes to receive it. So BDSM is just all things kink. It's a really big umbrella, but the acronym can stand for some of those words for those who don't know. But continue. You've done a little bit of research and...
Yeah, I've done some research and I haven't like fully tapped into it, but I noticed like some of the things that I do does fall under the umbrella of BDSM.
Like?
Give
us one.
One. Like the bondage.
Okay.
There's something about the bondage. You know, it's like during that space and time, you know, like just wrap you up and just like you ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? You ain't going nowhere. You know? You ain't going nowhere. Just like, don't even look at the door. You know what I'm saying? Don't look at your phone. You ain't going nowhere. I'm here now. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do know what you're saying.
Yeah, you ain't going nowhere. You know, the biting, the grabbing, the dominance, that energy, you know. You know, especially as a man, you know, you want to be that dominant figure in the bedroom.
Well, it depends on the man. It depends on the man, but I guess like for you, like that role is something that you like to engage in, to play, to embody.
Absolutely.
So do you think that you have just a dominance in like all parts of your life? Like you're dominant socially, you're dominant professionally, you're dominant sexually? Like is there any part of you that is comfortable or even like turned on by the flip side of that role, or to allow your partner to be dominant towards you in any way? Or are you like, you really love to like embody that dominant role?
I mean, there's a time and place for everything, you know. So, yes, I embody that dominance, because that's my personality, that's who I am. But also, you know, you can flip it. You know what I'm saying? So I would say like, you know, probably like during oral sex, you know, if it's being received to me, like you can't really be as dominant. You can for a little bit, but honestly, you're in that position where, you know, it's happening to you, you know, and within that time, it's like, oh shit, like, oh my gosh, like, you know, so what can I do, you know? So, you know, she can tie me up as well too. Yeah, I'm with it.
I like it. Yeah. I think that it's interesting that you mentioned receiving oral sex. So I feel like a lot of men think that that's a very dominant space to be in. But so many women and people who have practiced giving oral sex to other men always speak about the power that they have when they're doing it. And I really do believe that too. Like I really believe that like it creates such a wave of vulnerability within the person that is receiving that it's almost as if they are bottoming the exchange because they are on the receiving end of the exchange.
No, like if oral sex being, you know, happening to me, I'm in a submissive position right now. Cause I'm submitted. I'm just like, oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? You got me. Whoa. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Time check. 1:10. Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I say, we have conversations like this even without the camera. So it's like it just flows. You know? So
I'm loving this.
Correct. But since we are over time, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you. Thank you for the conversation.
Yes,
it was amazing. I always love speaking to Black men, especially about their sexuality too, because I feel like there's so much insight that a lot of men don't speak about, on a daily basis. They don't usually speak about with their boys for real. And 3, like it creates another exposure of consciousness that Black men have about their bodies that I feel like people don't shed light on or don't give enough credit to. So thank you for expressing yourself. Thank you for being open. Thank you for sharing. And let us know, like, do you have anything coming up? What can people do? How can they follow you? What can they tap in with? Like, how can people get more of you and connect with you outside of this conversation, more connected to your professional life and what you do for work?
Yes, absolutely. No, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the platform. Like, you know, we've been talking back and forth about it, and it's finally happened. But yeah, you can connect with me on Instagram, Scott Burnhard, SCOTTBURNHARD. Check me out on YouTube as well too. Same as the Instagram, Facebook, same as the Instagram. A website if you're interested in online training. I train with anybody across the world, across the nation. You know, so www.scottburnhard.com. As far as things coming up, I'm still on tour with Vegandale, which is one of the biggest vegan festivals in the world. And I will be in LA, and the last one's gonna be in the 305 Miami in December. So I'm working, you know, I'm on tour, I'm hosting, I'm doing my thing. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, wonderful. Well, thank you again. This was wonderful, beautiful, amazing, aligned episode 33 with your host, Iyanna The Model. Thank you all so much, and I will see y'all next week, same time, same place.
Yeah, you already know.
Yay.